Hey everybody, this is Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. I'm excited to share the last few pages of my February project life. I did decide to not share some, and I ran out of time to add a little video at the end with a walkthrough, so I will just do that when I start my March pages. So for this page right here, my kids love to go out to ice cream with Oma, and they happen to go out on Leap Day. Yeah, that's how you say it, Leap Day, February 29th. And I asked my son to get a selfie. I don't think I've ever asked for a photo, so I figured that Leap Day was an exception. And I got a photo, and it's just amazing and priceless. So of course I had to include it in the Project Life album. As you can see, I don't know exactly what I'm doing with this card. What I really wanted was the borders, the flower borders. So I'm essentially taking apart the card so that way I could stretch it to the top and the bottom of the photo. I could have, printed the digital copy, but I really wanted to stick to using up my kit as much as I could. And so I just stuck with taking apart this card and trying out something different. I'm also going to add in a ton of stamping and a chipboard and just have a lot of fun putting together this special page with my kids and Oma. So as you can see, it's going to be at the top and the bottom. And I did cut out the love you because since I figured I may use that on another project, or maybe I'll use it on this project, and I do wind up using it. So once I've cut apart the card, I'm just going to go ahead and place it down right in the middle of the page. I kept the photo 4x6. I knew I wanted it to stay very big, and I wasn't going to make it smaller. So once I have the framed pieces, I think it looks really, really good. And as I was looking through my stamps, I did happen to notice that the Start Story Kit stamp has flowers that are very similar to the flowers that are on this particular card. I also really loved the Story Kit stamp. Let's see, I think it's Happy. So I used that one as well. For right now, what I want to do is stamp a bunch of the flowers in red ink up at the top right corner and in the bottom left-hand corner. So that way I can make two clusters. I chose not to do a third cluster, but I figured, with my journaling, that kind of makes a third cluster. And also I don't know, I felt like two was enough. I'm stamping in red, and I think I said red, but I don't know if I said pink. And I didn't get really juicy impressions, but it turned out that was totally fine and worked out well. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp Joy and So Happy. I was able to stamp both of those sentiments right on the paper because I use I think it's the HP paper that I always link in my description box. I used that one to stamp on. It's my favorite to stamp, and it's the one that I go to over and over again. So I stamped those two, and then I stamped Finding Joy in the Ordinary, stamped that twice right below Joy. I also went digging through my stash to find another kind of typewriter font stamp that I could use, and I found Simply Savoring, so I stamped that a few times. And then I had trouble kind of picking out the green ink that would go well with the various flowers. And I finally settled on the one that I think I go to all the time. I believe it's Rustic Wilderness. I love that one, and it's my go-to. I love how I made the leaves kind of stick out on the side of Joy and also a little bit on So Happy. I'm going to finish up decorating my clusters with some enamel dots, and I also added in the yellow chipboard that says Feb. I did get a speck of green ink on it, and I knew that if I used my sand eraser, I might get the speck off, but I might also take the yellow coloring off the chipboard. So I just left the speck there. But isn't that always a bummer when you get a little smudge of something on your project as you're trying to finish it? So frustrating. I did add some enamel dots. I never have a full sheet of enamel dots. That's why I have slowly moved over to Nuvo drops. But I added a few, and then some lines for journaling. And what I talked about is my son and daughter and mother-in-law's long-standing tradition to have ice cream on Thursdays because that's their short day with school. And they just love it. They go to Dairy Queen and they chit chat and they talk, and it's the best. Like, I don't even really ask them what they talk about. I just know that it's special time with Oma and that they have a great time. And I think that they are both incredibly lucky, and I know that they're both thankful to have the Oma that they have, and Opa, of course, but Opa doesn't come to ice cream, just Oma, and I love it. I love how this page turned out, and I cut out love you, and I went ahead and added that, and then the because I did not add. So there is that page, and it's just beautiful and definitely a favorite. All right, so I'm going to wrap up the month of February with a grid. It's a tried and true method, and I basically went through all of the photos and various projects in February to see which photos I had not used, and I made a collage. I don't think it's 2x2, I think it's a little bit smaller, and then I used that HP paper again to print out the layout because I made a heart border at the bottom, and I also kept the collage once I printed and just turned down the opacity. I don't think that when I was adhering this down that it was very straight, but you can see I got about halfway, to tearing it apart and just said, you know what, never mind, I'm just gonna leave it. So I left it, and I love how this turned out. I think it turned out fantastic. And I also die cut the word February twice, so that way I could give it a little bit more dimension. And again, I just went through my photos and found ones I had not used, like the photo of me making a Valentine's bag at school, my son at track and field, going shopping at Target, and then my daughter at Girl Scouts, and also a favorite family show that we all enjoyed. And then I added in some digital stamping, as you can see with the looks like this and around here. I will then add some glue to the February that is printed, add the first die cut on top, just had to poke a piece of paper. I think it's called weeding. I didn't weed it enough, so I just adhered it down and then put some more glue on the second piece. And like I've always said, when I do titles, I like to cut it twice or 3 times just so I have that extra little dimension to it. And then my embellishments are going to be very simple with just one heart that is kind of more of the pale pink and a word phrase sticker at the top that says stories. I think that is simple, good enough, and looks wonderful. And then I'll add the journaling lines so that way I can just do bullet point lists. I am really into bullet point lists lately and not trying to think of long paragraphs when I'm journaling. Maybe it's because I just want to get back to my audiobook, because that's what I do when I'm scrapbooking now, is just listen to my audiobook. But bullet point list is just perfect for me. And I just talked about each of the photos, like my daughter was doing a research project on Margaret Hamilton. We found some Legos that represented Margaret Hamilton. I can also sharpen a lot of pencils, and I'm pretty much an expert at this point now in the school year. I can even use 2 pencil sharpeners at the same time, so that is quite a trick, right? My husband and I enjoyed playing Scrabble together, and that's it. I just wrapped it up just like that, and now February is done, and I have really enjoyed sharing these pages with you guys. I would love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel. Have a wonderful day. Bye.